Code Vein was a game that I ended up really enjoying. Much to my surprise at the time, it was my first Souls-like, so I was expecting to get skill issued out of enjoying it. I only ended up playing it though because of the, at the time, recent announcement of Code Vein 2, and I wanted to catch up before it came out. You see the logic there. So on to Code Vein 2. It came out, I played it, and of course I platinumed it too. That does leave me with a bit of a conundrum though. You see, I was expecting there to be a lot of extra stuff to talk about for the plat that you might not see on a regular playthrough. The first game did that after all. You had to play like 3 times through the game. But no, not really. Very few of this game's trophies are out of the way, so I'm gonna have to do this a little bit differently. So the first striking thing is that unlike the first game, which had little interconnected areas that you progressed through fairly linearly, Code Vein 2 decided to give you a big open world where you can go for any of the major bosses in any order, although saying that it still felt like there was an intended order, and boy did I not follow it. Like I went to the Undead Forest before the Corroded Scar, and it was jarring how much easier the latter was by comparison. Now I'm not going to do another full-on open world is bad rant, I've done it a few times before, I don't want to do it now. I do prefer how the first game did it. I don't think anything is really gained by making you cycle through the empty world to get to the dungeons really. But moving on, basic flow is that you go back in time to meet the hero, you do something for them to get a key, which then lets you fight them transformed in the present, and then after that you get the chance to change their fate to be more positive, which also gives you a new version of the boss fight. This is all very good. I love getting rewarded with a new boss fight, plus it gives you time to know the characters, and the way their interactions change based on whether you saved them in the past is also great. I actually did find myself getting into the individual character stories. After beating the 3 heroes at the start, it's basically a straight shot through the main quest to the end of the game. The game has 3 endings, but it's not like the first game where you have to play through 3 times to get them all. The 3 endings in this game are played one after each other. So you get the first ending and then just continue your game to get the second ending, and ditto for ending 3. So really there's only one ending. Why are you lying, game? Just beating the story will give you half the trophies in the game. You see what I mean when I say there's not too much to talk about? I will say I never got super stuck on any boss. I'm not saying it's easy, I died many times, but I never felt that it was unfair. Generally, I would get absolutely wrecked the first few attempts, and then slowly learn the dodge timing and patterns and whatnot, which to me at least is exactly what you want from this kind of game. The only exception is maybe the final boss, as you can't rely on a companion, which you can for every other boss, so I feel like, you know, that's a bit of a skill check that you're not entirely prepared for, but I don't know, just get good, you know? Pause the video quick. You see that there in the corner? That's a companion in the final boss. So it turns out you can have companions in the final boss, and I just never thought to and assumed that you couldn't. A coward would probably edit that part out of the video to make themselves look smart, but I am not a coward. Now in terms of trophies that might possibly maybe need a bit of extra effort, it's basically just the max upgrade ones. You need to max upgrade a weapon, a jail, a former, and your regeneration, which all need different materials. Weapons need crimson stones, jails need platinum, and former need remnant hearts. These are all found around the dungeons normally. The glow is pretty hard to miss, and the higher rarities are in the harder areas, with the final rarity being on Xenon's island. Xenon's the best character, by the way. I was so surprised that this is his personality, but he is my guy. Love that man unironically. Regeneration is a bit different though. There's 2 aspects of it, and these are both done by more collectibles than just materials. The blue dots on the map give you nectar, which is needed to upgrade your regeneration, and you need to get all of them on the map to max level it. The other half of regeneration needs blood beads, which are in the towers around the world. These are on the map, but they don't glow like the nectar, they just look like buildings. I know I was wondering what on earth this igloo-shaped thing was on the map, and it turns out to be a very useful upgrade I ignored for the first half of the game. Not my brightest moment, I will admit. The other trophy I want to highlight is for finding all the hot springs, because I think it's possible you'll miss some of these. Mostly because I did, and I don't want to feel dumb as the only one that missed some of these. Most of them though are tied to a side quest, which I didn't mention side quests earlier because you don't need to do them for the trophies, but I did do all of them except for the one for mastering all the blood codes, because boy that sounded like a lot of grinding I did not want to do. But yeah, I was missing 2 hot springs in Jose's area, but otherwise they're all in that one side quest I think. Saying I think just to cover my bum. Basically the only trophy that is really out of the way is for getting max affinity with one partner. And the reason this is so out of the way is because it's so unclear how this system works to anybody looking at it. This is basically a hidden stat. There's no bar or anything that shows you the affinity for the characters. No, you just gotta kind of guess. My question is just why, though? Why have a trophy for a system that you can't track? What I can tell you from research is that affinity is apparently divided into 3 different sections: battle, gifts, and side quest. Side quest is easy, just finish that character's side quest. This does mean that Lou might not be eligible for this trophy because she doesn't have a side quest. I couldn't find a clear answer to that online, so pick someone else just to be sure. Gifts is for giving presents. Easiest is to just get some eggs as you can buy a load for cheap really early on in the game. Battles is just for defeating enemies with them as your partner. This is the part that's a biggest pain by a mile. As I said, you can't see your progress on any of these, but at least with gifts, it's really easy to buy a ton of eggs and then get like 400-500 points from their shop. That's what I did. Battles, though, you have no idea really, and making matters even more unclear is that different enemies will actually give you different amounts, with higher level enemies typically giving you more. Again, this is all just info I found on forums. I don't know if this is just guesswork from other players or actually looking at the code. The best place I found to farm battles is the first room of the final dungeon. There's 6 enemies in here, so you just defeat the 6 of them and then TP back to the missile at the start of the area to respawn them all and then repeat until you get the trophy. I was expecting this to take me ages, but it actually only took me like 2-ish hours. But as I said, the problem is that you can't gauge how long it's going to be because there's no bar. You literally just have to do it blind until it eventually pops. I did it with Jose, but anyone will do except, again, maybe Lou because she doesn't have a side quest. I don't know if that's true, but I read some posts suggesting it, so I did want to share that part. But that is all that's really worth mentioning. There are some easier trophies that I've left out because they're easy and they're not worth mentioning. A few of them I actually got accidentally and don't even know what I did to get them. So yeah, I did it. Platinum Code Vein 2. So after all that, what do I think of the game? Broadly speaking, I enjoyed it. We'll start with the positives. I liked the bosses. I'm kind of a sicko who likes being forced to learn the attack patterns and getting wrecked if I don't. I also found myself quite liking the story. Less the main storyline, to be honest. It did start to lose me towards the end, and they kind of like shoo off the first game, like, yeah, it happened, but it's not super important. But the individual hero stories leading up to the bosses in the present I thought was really good. And on that note, I really did like the past and present like intermingling aspect of the game. Changing the past, unlocking new bosses, and especially changing the fates of the heroes to be less tragic was something I really enjoyed. The dungeon areas themselves though were kinda blah. They're not bad or anything, but when I compare it to the environments from the first game, that one is the clear winner. I didn't go into builds or anything in this video, and that's because I did not give it a thought really. I never used skills much at all, like I didn't in the first game. I just used regular attacks basically the whole game, probably making my life a lot harder, but you know, I still did it, so it's fine. I didn't even actually realize there was a heavy attack until I was almost done with the game. There is nothing like accidentally potentially making your life much harder than it needs to be. Things I am decidedly more negative about are first, the open world. I mentioned it a bit earlier, but I just don't know what is added by having to drive your motorbike to each of the dungeons. It's not like there's cool optional bosses around that you can fight for an extra test of skill. No, all the bosses are in the dungeons, and I keep using that word dungeons. What I mean by a dungeon is basically any area of the map that has an icon. Like the abandoned town, that's a dungeon for the purpose of this discussion. I just don't get this obsession with making games massive and big open world with literally nothing in them. Another thing I didn't like, and I'm pretty sure this is a universal dislike, is the performance. I am not someone who is bothered about slight frame drops or even playing something at 30 FPS. I can adjust to that pretty easily, to be honest. I am telling you this because a game like this, where timing is really important and is often, very often, the difference between success and failure, it is really annoying when you're thrown off by frame drops. This is something they've said they're going to address, like they put a post out about it, but it was still an issue when I played it, so I'm going to moan about it. When it comes to trophies, as you've hopefully seen, there is really not a lot to really say. With some games, the Platinum is an extra challenge to really prove your mastery beyond just beating the game. Let me tell you now, if you can beat this game, as in get to and beat the final boss, you can get the Platinum. No ifs, ands, or buts. Do I prefer this game to the first one? That is a tough call, honestly. I think I might have liked the cast of characters more in this one. I didn't dislike them in the first one or anything, but a lot of them were just kinda there. In this game, there's only really Iris, who doesn't really do a whole lot. Everyone else I generally quite like. But to me, the open world really drags the game down. For now, I'll just say I like them both for different reasons, but I absolutely don't regret getting this one at launch this time instead of waiting for 6 years like I did for the first one. I hope they make a third one, and a fourth one. Just keep making it, why not? Just don't take 6 or 7 years next time, please don't say it. And that's the video. Have you played this game yet? How'd you find it? Did you go for the platinum? Let me know all that and more in the comments, and while you're down there, why not subscribe? It's free, helps me out, and gives you easier access to all my videos, both old and new. There's one on the original Code Vein and some other fun stuff as well. This video ended up being a bit harder to make than I expected, mostly just because there's so little out of the way stuff for the trophies to talk about. Still had fun with it though, just as I did with the game. Thank you for watching this video to the end. For now though, I'm off, hunt them tropes, and I'll see you next time.